Hello and welcome to Beach View, our podcast about different things.
Hello, today we're going to be talking about things that we are currently watching. So Bryce, do you have anything that you're currently obsessed with at the moment?
Yes, well, I'm cheating because it's not watching. We've done this topic before.
Oh.
And this time I'm
Yes.
doing a video game.
Okay. I mean, that counts, right?
Well, you play it as the more pertinent verb there than watching, but yes,
You watch it while you play it. That works.
I suppose.
So what game are you playing right now?
Well, I played it last week, but, it's still current.
Yeah, fresh in
So-
your mind. Okay.
Yeah, it's Deltarune Chapter 2. It came out last week at time of recording, and I played it last week.
Oh.
And,
What is it?
So some preamble. You wouldn't happen to know what Undertale is?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So it was a really popular indie game that came out in 2015.
Okay.
I asked because, it was, super popular, blew up, had a, rabid fan base, got a ton of praise, a lot of people were like, oh, you gotta play this, there's a ton of, fan art and memes and whatnot, and, the breakout character
What?
became, a meme by itself. So, yeah, I thought maybe you might have heard of it.
Who's the character?
Sans? It's the little skeleton dude?
Okay, no.
No? Okay.
I must have totally missed that phase, yeah.
Yeah, I doubt,
2015's a blur.
I doubt if it appeared in, the circles you're in, but it's possible.
Okay. I mean, who knows? I'm not really, into the gaming world. I mean, sometimes I see some stuff, on Instagram or whatever, but I don't remember seeing that at all.
Okay, well, here's a little, fun diversion real quick. Can you name a game that came out in the last 5 years?
Oh, goodness. A game. What about that Kentucky game? What is it called? That game that
Kentucky
you made
Route
me
Zero.
play. Yeah, what about that one? Kentucky Route Zero.
It was released in parts, and some of them came out in the last 5 years, so I guess that counts.
I don't know any other games.
Okay.
I really don't. Or what about what's that one? Among Us? Is that a game?
Oh, okay, yeah, you got that one. Cool.
Oh, I got it. I knew it.
I guess
There you
that
go.
one got popular enough to breach your circle.
Yeah. I think Minecraft. Is Minecraft older than that, though?
Yes, that
I
is
figured.
10 years old on official release, older than that on, its, pre-release versions.
Yeah, I feel like that had been out for a long time, yeah.
Yes. Alright. Well, diversion over. You got it. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. That's better than my music theory quiz.
So, Undertale is about human. You play as a human and you explore a world of monsters. And typically in games like this, it's an RPG. You usually go around and you, fight things and get stronger and get better, equipment to fight more things, and there's a story told along the way. But in this game, the point is, you're supposed to be a pacifist. You're supposed to, do actions that make the enemy not want to fight you anymore when you get into a fight, and then you spare them. So,
interesting.
for example, you get, you can compliment one of them, and then they'll oh, I like that compliment, and then you can spare them so you don't have to, fight and kill them.
That's kind of cool. It's
Yeah,
a totally new twist on that, right?
Yeah, you can still kill things, but it's, this game's kind of notable for that aspect. So,
I like it. That's awesome.
You go around and you meet, neat and goofy characters, and, go on this adventure, have a story, whatnot. And I think the core of the game is really, the character writing and comedy. That's part of the reason why it, blew up so big, is people thought it was really funny, and the characters are well written, and you get to have, hijinks and emotions and whatnot with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the themes are
And
sort
then
of
you spare their lives.
yeah, being kind and friendship and forgiveness and pacifism.
I like it. This sounds like my kind of game.
It also has a larger meta commentary on the medium, but to me it doesn't really cohere into anything. Like, I think it's just kind of there and it doesn't work.
Wait, what does that mean exactly? Like, what do you mean it doesn't work and
Well, a lot of
what
people
do
like
like
it,
it
but,
doesn't
like,
cohere with anything?
I don't think,
Okay.
like, it's trying to say stuff about, like, the genre and medium, like, video games it's in. But I don't think what it has to say is really well founded or well explored,
Oh.
which I think's actually kind of a controversial opinion.
Yeah? Oh, so you think most people are okay with it?
I think, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons people like it so much.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
let's get
so...
into it. So, you played the whole game? Like it's you finished
Okay,
it or how
well,
does that
that
work?
that was a preamble because what I played was,
Okay.
like I said, Undertale came out in 2015. I played
Oh.
it in 2015,
Okay.
and the spiritual
Okay.
successor called Deltarune is what chapter 2 of that is what I played, and it's
Oh,
an
okay.
anagram for Undertale, so it's working off of that sort of thing. And it was a surprise release in 2018. Like, I think the day before, the creator just sort of like randomly announced it, like the day before it came out, and then like the next day, it's like everybody's playing it and like talking about it and whatnot.
That's cool.
So, and like the premise of this is it takes the characters from Undertale, like a lot of them are in this game, but it does them differently. So, like, everybody lives in a town instead of the underground monster world from Undertale.
Okay.
And, like, the story is, it's got a typical, like, YA adventure setup. Some kids, I think they're, like, teenagers or something, go, like, on a journey through a fantastical alternate world. You know, like, that's pretty basic kids stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, they
I
have
like
their...
that kind of premise though.
Yeah, they have their fun adventure, grow as characters, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And it's like the like alternate world they're in are actually, it's like things from the real world come to life as like characters. Like the first chapter takes place in like a playroom in a school. So it's got like board game and card game sort of stuff. Like one of the characters is the Jack of Spades, that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that kind of like fantasy, but like fun and playful kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. So chapter 2 came out last week, so I played it.
And what did you think?
However, I was not exactly happy with it.
What?
I think it's still good at a lot of what like this series is good at. Like a lot of the characters are fun and interesting. The comedy is still good, but I think it drags a lot.
Yeah. Meaning like it gets boring?
Yeah, like I think it gets boring in some parts, but I also think like a lot of what it's doing was done well in like the previous iterations, like in Undertale and in Deltarune Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I think like I not a huge fan of a lot of the new characters in this chapter.
Why?
Like, one of the major characters I think was just a total dud. Like, you know, this character's like a big part of the story, has like a character arc, and I think like almost nothing about it. So, like, that's one thing.
Oh wait, why don't you like this character
It's just...
though?
So, his thing is he's like a know-it-all, and he tries to be like the smartest kid in
Okay.
class. And he's smug about it, you know, and he tries to present it like this comes effortless to him, and he's like a really clever, smart boy, and whatnot.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't sound like
I
anybody
find
I would
him
like.
annoying. I mean, he does have like a character arc. Like he's, you know, it's not actually effortless to him. He really relies on the help of another character to study and stuff.
Okay.
But like, I don't know, just the way they executed that turn, I don't think worked. Most of his dialogue, I
Oh.
don't think worked. I think he showed up too much.
Unwelcome guest there.
Yeah. Like, that's actually played for a joke. One of the other characters also doesn't like him. I just think they overdo it on that.
Yeah. Well, it's always good when you have someone you don't like. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Uh, I just, like, it's not
No,
like, I don't
nah.
like in a way that, is, like, there's characters you hate, but, like, you still think they're well written, good part of the story. This is one I just
Yeah.
didn't do
Oh,
anything for
I
me.
got you.
Toss them in the trash.
Superfluous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the new minor characters are fine, but they're not the best in the series. They're just kind of there.
Yeah. I think it's funny how you say toss them in the trash when this is like a pacifist game.
More on that later, actually.
Okay.
Dropping a
Alright.
little tease for you.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And like the breakout character from this chapter, I just don't get why he became so popular. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. Like he's fine, but he's not like, I don't know. Just not my thing, I guess.
I gotcha. Okay.
Right, and I think lots of the exploration parts drag and like the like walking around the world and doing stuff, which I think is a problem Undertale actually has a little bit of. And I think this is like that turned up more. So that didn't, that kind of annoyed me.
So they didn't take that feedback from Undertale or the first chapter that they should have taken
Well, I
for
think that
chapter
the
two.
first chapter's actually really good about that, but it's also
Okay.
shorter being as it's the first chapter.
Right. I gotcha.
I think like the combat is more involved. I say combat even though you're not like supposed to fight, but they attack you, so it's still combat, and that's like the genre convention. Like it's a more complex system, and I like it, but I don't think it's as creative. Like I don't think it's used as well as Undertale, despite that.
Okay. Huh.
And the puzzles aren't as good as in like previous iterations. And so much of it feels like setups and cliffhangers for, the later parts, because this is only chapter 2.
Okay. So when you say puzzles, is that something like you have to solve, like to get to the next level, or what does that mean?
Yeah, well, it's not. It's kind of done in levels. I don't know how to
I
but,
gotcha.
but yes, it blocks your progress, and you need to solve a puzzle.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Very common for the genre, and like I just think the puzzles in this one aren't as good. But yeah, so it's got lots of setups for later things, and I think the chapter story itself is mostly satisfying, but like a lot of it is building up to later parts, and like for example, a major theme is all set up at this point. Like it's been established but not explored, and I really just like want to see the theme in action.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's likely like a meta commentary thing like Undertale, and I want to see if the creators gotten better at doing that, in my opinion, than they did last time.
So when you think that there will definitely be like subsequent chapters after this one?
The creators come out and said since chapter 1, like that this is the start of a longer thing, and there's going to be 7 chapters in total. We know that now.
Oh, okay.
So like, and I think it's probably going to be fine in totality. Like it's just like a minor part that drags, but I'm not a fan of it like as it's coming out. Like I'm sure you've probably had this before. Like it's different experiencing something as it comes out if it has like a break schedule like a TV show than it is binging it at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. Very true.
Yeah. But yeah, like it, I don't know. I'm sure, like, by the time it all comes out, I'll be fine with it. It'll just be like, oh, that part drags a bit, but the whole of it's good.
So, are there timelines like for like when the other ones are coming out, or is it just
No,
like in a couple of
nothing.
years?
Like, yeah, that's, like,
Okay.
Because that's, like, yeah, I think, that's basically my final thoughts. It's like, and, like, it'll probably take, like,
Yeah.
another 3 years for it to come out. Like, that's my assumption, because it
Oh,
took 3 years
gosh.
between chapter 1 and chapter 2 coming out.
So what you're saying is like you hope that it gets better, and this is just a little part that drags. but you won't know until
Right.
it comes out, which is like a few years away, so you really
Mhm.
have no idea. Oh, so you don't know whether this is like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if it keeps on this pace, I don't know if it can, like, sustain itself, you know? I mean, obviously, people are really
Yeah.
excited about this, and they're gonna like it anyways, but I don't know if I will if it keeps, like, on this, and, like, just experiencing it as it
Yeah.
comes out kind of has dampened down what it, like, would otherwise be, for me.
Yeah, I get that because if like I'm watching a series and I get to like, the end of like the last part of the second season and it's just totally like dragging out, I could lose interest. I don't want to watch any more of it, So
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see, if the next one comes out and you're kind of already disinterested and it doesn't like blow you away, it's kind of like, oh well. I thought it was going to be good, but it wasn't,
Yeah.
But maybe it'll change your mind and it'll come out and be really good.
Yeah, but again, I'll have to wait and see. But interesting caveat though, both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 were released for free, so that's
Ah.
neat. The rest of the game's gonna be paid, but
Oh, that's
Cool
how
to
they suck
get
you
these
in
two
and
for
make
free.
you pay for the rest. Well, and you don't feel as bad when you have something for free and you're kind of
Right,
like, I
right.
don't know, it was okay, but it's like, well, you can't complain, it was free and it
Mhm.
entertained you for a minute,
yeah, well, so however, there is a however to this, because you remember that part I said earlier where, I was giving a little tease. So,
About trash cans.
yeah. Well, you're saying it's interesting, like, you want to throw a character away because it's supposed to be a pacifist game.
Yeah.
Well, it was discovered that there was an evil alternate route, which was a thing in
What?
Undertale, but it was
Okay.
notably absent from the first chapter of Deltarune.
Oh.
Right, and it was like this.
Are you sure it was absent?
Yes.
Or did you just not
no,
find
people pour over these games. That's another thing about them, is that there's a lot of
Okay.
little, like, there's a lot in these games that are just, like, hidden things and, like, secret areas and just secrets in general that, like, people pour over them and they find everything.
That's awesome.
So if there was a alternate evil route in Chapter 1, people would have found it.
Okay. So there was one in Chapter 2?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a bit weird, like, it's
And
actually...
you found it?
Well, like, I didn't, but people did, and I followed their steps to do it, because it was actually
Okay.
kind of involved. Like, the evil route in 1 in Undertale is, like, pretty simple. Like, once you... Like, even before knowing about it, but once you know about it, it's, like, obvious in hindsight how to do that. But in this one, you have to take some, like, weirdly specific steps to do it.
It sounds cool though. It's like you're trying to find a secret passage.
Yeah.
It like fits in the whole like adventure genre.
And, the thing about this evil route was it was very good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was genuinely harrowing.
Okay,
like
so all is not lost.
Yeah, you're being very evil in it. But it had really good writing.
Nice. Wait, so how are you being evil? You're like killing stuff or
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the evil route in Undertale, is that you're killing everything instead of, being a pacifist and sparing everybody.
Oh. So it's not really a pacifist game if it has this underlying evil world.
Yeah, that's an argument you can make, but I think there's another argument that is basically like, well, this is the, like, mirror image that kind of needs to exist in order for your, like, choice to be a pacifist to be meaningful.
Okay, yes, that is true.
But that is...
You can't have the sunshine without the rain.
That is something people have argued about.
Yeah. I like how it's controversial. But, I mean, to me, it makes it more interesting, right? Like, you're like, this pacifist world is kind of humdrum. But then you get to the evil world, and you're like, yeah, let's kill things.
But yeah, so this... The way it happens in this, like, you have to do some weirdly specific things, like I said. And instead of you killing things, you make someone else kill things.
What? So you, like, convince somebody else to kill something?
And it's not just killing, you, like...
So it's the opposite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just killing, you're, like, making them freeze things.
What?
So that, like, you just look at the little monster, well, they're not monsters, but the little, like, things you're you're supposed to be friends with and spare, and they're just, like, frozen solid in blocks.
What? That's so mean.
Yeah, it is, but, like,
You do that to your friends?
It was genuinely well written, and that has me excited for more.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so it doesn't sound like it was as, I don't want to say boring, but, you know, as mundane as you originally said,
Yes.
because it has this other side of it that you found exciting. So,
Mhm.
should I be worried that the evil world, you know, you like the evil world better than the pacifist world?
It's better written. I'm just admiring good writing.
Sure. It doesn't have anything to do with everyone's human nature, right?
No, it's just I'm admiring good writing, you know.
Sure you are. Sure.
Yeah, you go through it and you're like, wow, that was terrible.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's like, oh
well,
no,
at least
I'm
it was
being horrible
interesting.
in this video game.
That's awful. So I love, but like the package of it is that it's like pacifism and all nice and sunshine and rainbows, and then when in reality it's like, all is not what it seems.
Well, you don't have to do this. It's just a thing you can do.
Yeah,
it's
but you're
kind
going
of, like,
to.
hidden too, so like you gotta go out of your way to do it.
It's like if you know there's like a secret world and you know how to get to it, it's like you have to do it, right? I mean, for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Like,
you don't
let's check
play
this
games,
out.
but you were like multiple times hitting on like arguments people have had about
Really?
this. Well, I guess maybe not arguments, but like things people have said about it.
I need to get into gaming, man. I feel like I could like really do some good commentary on it.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been my thing. If you don't have anything else to say about it,
No, so basically, moral of the story is, you actually kind of liked it, right?
I liked part of it. I thought the other part was left some to be desired, but we'll see what happens in the
Okay.
future.
Well, yeah, there's always the future, right? So, okay, well, keep me posted in 3 years from now,
Yeah,
or whenever it comes
probably.
out. I'm going to want a full review
Yeah.
of the third chapter.
Well, it won't be completely finished because it's 7 chapters, and they've announced the next 3 or what's coming out next. So
Oh, I got you. Interesting. Okay, well, keep me updated on that. So I'll get into mine. So I have 2, like, probably shorter ones to talk about. So on that same theme of, like, kind of YA, like, adventure, you know, genre, I have been watching OBX, Outer Banks, on Netflix, which I think I may have talked about before. Do you remember?
I don't think so. No.
I may have just mentioned it. Okay. So, Outer Banks, have you ever heard of it?
I think, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay. So, basically, it's this, like, Netflix show, and it's based in the Outer Banks off of North Carolina, which is, like, kind of the outer, I don't want to say, like, islands, but, yeah, just, like, swampland kind of thing. And it's basically, like, a war of the classes. So, there's kooks versus pogues. And the pogues are like the, you know, lower income, kind of like the swamp rats, if you will. And the kooks are like, you know, the rich people who live in these like huge, like plantation looking houses and, you know, society crowd and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a classic, you know, war of the classes. But it's these kids, and the main character is John B. And basically, like, his dad goes missing at sea, and he was searching for this treasure on the Royal Merchant, which is a ship that was shipwrecked, and he believes that he found the treasure. Well, then, you know, his dad goes missing. They think he's dead, but John B. holds out hope. Anyway, John B. and his friends go in search of this treasure. That's basically like the first season of the show. And so they're going all around, North Carolina and, well, not all around, but all around that little part of North Carolina. And they're searching for this treasure and they're trying to basically like find his dad. But then they discover that this girl who's a kook that he starts falling in love with, that her dad actually had something to do with his dad going missing. So it's like this whole like adventure, and it's just a fun series. It's like full of action, and it's like addictive. It's like you got to see what's going to happen next. And so it's just a really cool show. And then the second season just came out maybe last month or the month before. I don't remember. So I just watched the second season. And this season, basically, they were like stowaways on a ship, like trying to escape. And they end up in Nassau in the Bahamas, where the girl Sarah that he falls in love with, like her dad has a house there where he put all of the treasure. And by the way, they did find the treasure. Okay, so they're trying to concoct a plan to, get the treasure back, and also to exonerate John B. because he is suspected of murdering the sheriff when actually it was the girl Sarah's brother. It's like a whole thing. So anyway, it's really interesting, but I really enjoyed this season because they go, from the Bahamas to North Carolina, the Outer Banks to Charleston, and it involves like a former slave and a slave owner, and one of the Pogues ancestors was like a slave who was freed. And anyway, it has like this whole, like, basically find the treasure. They do find the treasure, a different treasure this time, and then they lose it again. So it's just like that whole kind of, treasure hunting, like high school kid adventure. But it's really good. So the only thing I will say that I didn't really care for as much was the last episode. They're all like stowaways on this ship again, and they have like this long drawn out like kind of fight scene. It's like a, kind of like a chase and fight scene where like every character is like involved in a different fight, and I was kind of like, that's a little too much, like all on one boat kind of thing. So obviously, there are other nuances there, but that is the basis of it. But it makes you like wanting to see, okay, what's going to happen next? It's like cliffhanger, people get shot and you think one's dead and then they're not dead, like a whole thing. It sounds terrible when I describe it, but it's actually really good.
Yeah, so
I don't do a good job with commentary.
Well, I think you did fine, but you don't think that like watching it as it's coming out has like dampened your excitement any like it has for me?
No, I think it actually makes it better because you have this like anticipation. Like, this was one of the few series that I was like waiting for the next season to come out, so, and then, once it comes out, you like watch them all at once kind of thing. It's a short series. I think there's like maybe 10 episodes per season, something like that. So it's not like super long. But I think waiting for it to come out actually makes it better in this case. Yeah, you should watch it. I mean, I don't know if you'd like it, but I liked it. And, there's all these little, like, love interests and, family drama and all that kind of stuff. And it just shows you, like, one girl is actually, she basically thinks of herself as a Pogue, and that's who her friends are, but she's really a kook. And they show, like, her family, I think, owns a restaurant, and, they live in this nice house, and so she's trying to get, like, her parents to help, like, John B. with money, and, getting a lawyer, and her parents are like, you shouldn't hang out with the Pogues, like a whole, it's just like a whole class thing, and, I always think that's kind of interesting.
It sounds a bit like,
so, you should check it out.
The Outsiders. I don't know if you read that in school or not.
A long time ago. I don't know if I read it or I watched the movie, probably. But yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like this whole adventure where, Sarah ends up getting shot in the second season by her brother of all people. And like her brother's just like, obviously has like mental health problems, like schizophrenia or something, and he shoots her and like basically doesn't really care. He's just trying to make his dad happy, and it's like a whole thing. And then Sarah's ex-boyfriend comes to try to comfort her, and then that's the whole other thing with John B. So it's just all this like drama, but it's very good. I think it's very well done. It's well filmed, and it definitely leaves you wanting more. So I'm waiting for the third season now, which probably won't come out until next year, obviously. But they had me hooked. Definitely had me hooked.
Neat.
Yeah. And it's funny when like people my age, like my friends like texting me like, "Oh, John B is so cute," and I'm like, I have to laugh because I'm like, yeah, he's a high schooler. Like,
right?
calm down. Yeah. Yeah, but it's just funny that like we're all into this and we're like old people. But it's such a good show. So, it's fun. And then so I have another one that I'm going to cheat too, because it's not something I'm watching, but it's something that I'm reading.
Oh, well, that's like watching, but for...
It is.
I don't have something for this. You said that gaming was like watching, so I wanted to do it for the book, but you are looking at the page.
It's watching in your brain, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so this book is called The Secrets We Keep, which honestly, I don't really like the title because there are so many things titled The Secrets We Keep, and I actually was excited because there's a movie on Netflix with the same title, and I thought it was the same thing. And I really like to watch the movies or the shows that are based on books, but it's a totally different book that the movie was made from. So anyway, I got a little disappointed at that. But this book, this goes right along with my interest. You know how like I like reading stuff about twins? Like anything with twins in it, like I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Well, of course it's about identical twins, and except one of them is not evil really,
okay.
But they are kind of, yeah, they are kind of polar opposites.
So it's not fully that.
No, not fully, but it is, identical twins, but they're polar opposites. So one's name is Ella and one is Maddie, and they're high schoolers. So basically the premise of this is that they're kind of fighting. They get in this terrible car accident where the twin Ella like gets mad at her sister and like goes to pull over on the side of the road, but she like jerks the wheel and it's raining and like hailing or something, and she jerks the wheel to the side of the road while they end up hitting a tree, and Maddie dies. Except when Ella wakes up in the hospital, she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know which twin she is because she was pretty badly injured in the accident as well. But everybody thinks that she's Maddie, so she goes along with it. And then when she realized that she's actually Ella, which doesn't take long for her to realize, it like she's already like, too far entrenched in being Maddie. And so, like, she has Maddie's boyfriend is, like, hovering around her. Like, her parents think she's Maddie because they looked so much alike. The only difference was that one had a freckle, like, by her eye. But with the injury, it was stitched over. So there's no freckle anymore. So they couldn't tell which one she was. And the reason they got confused about it was because the other twin was wearing Ella's clothes because she was like wet and cold. So like Ella gave her like sweater and her sweatpants or something. And so she was like wearing her sister's clothes. So they thought that was her because they had two totally different styles. So anyway, her parents didn't know it was her, all this stuff's happening. This like lie is eating her up. And her real best friend, who's like mourning her death because he thinks she's dead, figures out that that's the wrong twin, that she's saying she's Maddie, but she's really Ella. And so basically she has this kind of, identity crisis and comes clean because she realizes like her sister has done some really bad things, like to this other girl. And it's like this whole game that her sister was playing at school and trying to be the best at everything and the most popular. So she sabotaged like other people and was just kind of, she knew her sister was feeling guilty about it, and that's why she was like cold and wet and crying when she went to pick her up that night. So anyway, she ends up righting the wrongs that her sister did and coming clean to everybody, like who she really is. And so that's basically the premise of it, and I enjoyed it. Does that sound like something you would enjoy?
The premise of it, where it's like, oh, the amnesia, mistaken identity, like dead twin thing, didn't
Yeah.
sound very interesting. Like none of those like tropes
Yeah.
or stuff I'm really interested in. But the fact that they drop the mistaken identity and it's about like and the like latter part, like trying to right the wrongs of that and whatnot. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was, because a lot of these, stories with twins is like, like you said, one of them dies and the other one takes on their identity, but it's kind of like an evil way, and this wasn't that. So I did like that it kind of departed from that. At least it was a little bit of a different story. So I enjoyed that, and it was just, it was kind of interesting because you always have, I don't know, I guess because I'm a twin and that's why I'm interested, but it's kind of followed the same. At first it was like the same old story and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but it did get better.
So there is a game that has some similar themes to that I thought I would bring up.
Oh, okay.
So it's called Planescape Torment. It takes place in a fantasy world, not like a teenager sort of deal. But so the character you play as wakes up in a mortuary, like having been killed and been like resurrected with no memory, and you're like, apparently this happens to you a lot of times, and you're trying to find out like who you are and like dealing with like identity issues and like dealing with what your like past selves have done, because this happens to you a lot of times and you lose memory every time it does.
What? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I would think I would be interested in that. So do you have to figure out who you are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to get into that.
Yeah, I just brought it up because I thought that was neat. It had a similar theme about like identity crises and righting the wrongs of your past and whatnot. Or well, not really like your past, like the question there, like, are you responsible for that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think that is an interesting like topic and or an interesting kind of trope, But I could get into something like that. I'm telling you, I really got to start gaming.
Okay, the problem with that game though is like it's old enough and of a certain style that like I have trouble playing it just because I don't like the genre. I find like just the basic act of moving around in it annoying. So, and it's kind of hard. So I don't know if you would enjoy that.
I have no basis. Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I have no basis for that. Like gosh, the last game I played was probably like in middle school. Like it's probably super primitive compared to like what's around now.
Well, this game's from like 96 or something.
Okay, that's my era. Yeah, I didn't really play computer games. So I guess I did a little bit, but
also you played Kentucky Route Zero not too long ago, so.
Yeah, that's true. I basically am a gamer. So, that's me. I gotta get more into this in all my free time. Instead of reading, I'll just start gaming.
Well, that one game I mentioned has a lot of reading in it. It's like a lot of voice acting, so it's got a lot of writing.
See, I probably would like that better. Well, that's all I have. That's my current obsessions.
Okay.
I'll probably have, I just finished the book and I just finished that season of OBX. So I probably have new current obsessions coming.
Is that book like a one and done? Is there no sequels or like TV adaptations?
Yeah, I think
or movie adaptations or anything?
No, I actually I searched it because I was like, oh, they have that movie on Netflix, and then I realized it was a totally different movie. but I don't think there are any adaptations
Mm-hmm.
coming, or I mean, maybe, who knows, but there aren't any sequels that I know of. I got this book from the library, so I mean, like on my Kindle digital copy, so I'm gonna have to search the author, but I don't think there are any other sequels to this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I do love a good series. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we've described a few things today. Do you have any more to say about that before I close this out?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we got into these things because it makes me more interested in, like, you know, just knowing, like, what other people, or, like, what you are watching or playing, and just kind of, I don't know, I think it's interesting to hear about what other people think on certain things. So, yeah, so thanks for sharing. Well, that has been this episode of Beach View, and please join us next time. Bye!
Bye!